Hi everyone. On this edition of Ask Monica, we're going to be talking about insulin resistance part 2, or what to do about insulin resistance. So if you missed insulin resistance part 1, be sure that you go to that. So I'm Monica Moore. I'm a nurse practitioner and health coach at RMA of Connecticut. And I want to talk to you about what to do about insulin resistance. So it is a condition that many of us have. I have it myself, especially if you have PCOS or some tendency towards gestational diabetes. And what we need to do, and it's not a cure for insulin resistance, it's really kind of managing that tendency to have that, is to make your body more sensitive to insulin. There's a couple ways of doing this. So one, and the main one, in my opinion, is exercise. Exercise utilizes large muscles. Skeletal muscle, or what we use in exercise, is one of the main things that will pull glucose from out of the bloodstream, which is where we don't want it to be and to sit, and into the cells. So by using skeletal muscle often, we're able to get glucose where it needs to be into the cells. So I always recommend and tell people in terms of what to do for exercise. Low and slow is better. There is some information and some support online for something called zone 2 training. So if you put your heart rate into 5 zones, and the 5th zone is your maximum heart rate, and the first zone is a little bit over kind of your baseline or sedentary heart rate. Zone 2, the next one up, for long periods of time has been shown to help metabolically. It's been shown to help with insulin resistance. And so this might mean that you feel a little bit breathless, but you're able to kind of string words together in a sentence. Your rate of perceived exertion maybe is around a 6 or 7. It's 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. Strength training is also an incredibly important component of making you more sensitive to insulin. And that's because when you cause the skeletal muscles to grow, or what's called hypertrophy, and then what they do is they pull glucose into them so that they're able to both grow and then recover the following day. I never recommend HIIT or high intensity interval training exercise. If people like to do that, that's great, but you don't need to do that. So if you do some kind of strength training 2 or 3 times a week, and then you supplement that with a little bit more vigorous than normal walking, where you feel like it's a little bit of an exercise as opposed to a stroll, that's really important. The second thing is that you want to eat in a way where you have complex or unprocessed carbs. So anything that's sort of not white, brown rice, quinoa, whole wheat pasta. When you have a white carb, like white rice, your glucose spikes. And when you have insulin resistance, your insulin spikes in order to accommodate for that glucose. And the problem with that is that the glucose eventually needs to come down. And that reactive or reflexive hypoglycemia, that lower amount of glucose, can make you feel bad. It can also make you feel super hungry and have an urgent need to eat. So it's really important that you have a healthy, or what we call slow carb. It's important that you combine a carb with protein and healthy fat. In fact, I tell all of my health coaching clients to please make sure that their priority on their plate is the protein, the healthy fat, and some kind of color, which is usually a vegetable, but can be a fruit, and then add the carb. So a lot of times we think, oh, I'm hungry, I feel shaky, I'm gonna have a banana. That banana, it will cause a blood sugar spike, and with people with insulin resistance will cause an insulin spike that quickly lowers that blood sugar and makes you feel bad, and then makes you reach for another carb, orange juice, a banana, which then will perpetuate that cycle. So really combining the way that you eat can make a big difference. If you're not sure how to do this, please check with one of our nutritionists, or me, or one of our health coaches. Finally, there are medications like metformin that can make you more sensitive to insulin. There are some over-the-counter, like metformin that I mentioned, some injectable ones that you would have to talk to a medical endocrinologist about. There also are some supplements like myoinositol, berberine, that have been shown in some studies to be as helpful as metformin in terms of regulating blood sugar. But you should always check with your doctor before you start these. So I hope this is helpful in terms of part 2. If there's one thing that I can get across to you, it is to please feel like you can start or cultivate a regular movement practice, whatever that movement means for you. It does not need to be a spin class. It does not need to be Orange Theory or CrossFit. It really simply can be walking and using some body weights or regular weights. If you're interested, look up Zone 2 heart rate training, and that might help. So thanks so much. As always, please leave us your questions or concerns you can DM us or you can leave that in the comments box. Thanks so much.